this morning with the sunrise in my eyes. My ride sweeter beneath the one I love. I don't know how, don't know why, but I've been toasting all my life. Oh, it's sweeter. I've been toasting all my life.
Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name's Megan, and I'm going to be talking to you about all things penguin as we watch our beautiful little penguins coming out of the water, crossing the beach, and heading back to their burrows here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. And tonight I'm joined by Anna. Anna, come on in, tell us what you're going to be doing tonight.
Hi everyone. Tonight I'm going to be monitoring the Facebook and YouTube comments to see if you've got any questions. So if you've got questions tonight about our penguins or anything here at the nature parks, please ask and we'll try to answer them live on screen for you. Thanks, Megan.
Lovely. Thank you, Anna. Anna will be going through all your lovely comments and questions on Facebook and YouTube. So send all of those through to Anna. We'll do our best to answer some of them live on air tonight. And if we don't get through to you tonight, there will be a ranger going through the Facebook comments and answering your questions within the next 24 hours. And tonight is my last night of the nightly live streams. So for all those regular Wattle watchers, if you do have any questions specifically for me, send those through and I'll do my best to answer those. So definitely going to miss seeing you guys. Well, I don't see you, but you can see me. I'm going to miss talking to you guys regularly and hope to see you on some of our special live streams if you're one of our regular watchers. And if you're watching for the first time, welcome and hope you enjoy these last few live penguin streams before we do them not quite as regularly. Now, I might zoom across the beach already because we have had some penguins hanging around in the water and I want to make sure that we're not going to miss them crossing the beach. Let's see where those little guys have gone. Have we had an update, Anna?
Yep, so we've had a start at 8:51 right on the start of the live stream tonight. So they should be crossing right now.
Ooh. Do we hear where the start was, Anna?
She said at Penguins Plus.
Where are they?
She might have been a bit early.
Oh, I see them. Oh, it's a tiny little group. There they are. Let's see. We can get nice and close. How many penguins do you guys see? I think it might be 5 or 6. So we do need 5 penguins at least to start our penguin count. And we do have Ranger Beck counting tonight, or Dr. Beck actually. She did her PhD on penguins, so she knows all about penguins. I'm sure she has counted exactly the right number. These guys aren't making it easy to count them, but it must have been at least 5 penguins. There you go. So that's an early start to our penguin count tonight. They came in a bit later last night, but it is a little bit dark already tonight. These penguins were keen to get home and they started our penguin count. So from this point, in the next 50 minutes, Beck will be counting every penguin she sees crossing the beach tonight, and she'll count them for 50 minutes. So if you watched last night, you might have tried to count the penguins and had a guess as to how many you think came in last night. So put in all your guesses now. Make sure you've locked those in. And I believe Anna has those penguin numbers for us. Anna, how many penguins did we have last night?
So last night we had 1,148 penguins and the start was at 8:56.
1,148 penguins. Lovely. Thank you, Anna. And they were actually not that much later last night. There you go. They just caught me by surprise tonight. I was keeping an eye on them, and then in that couple minutes that I was introducing myself, they snuck across the beach, and I don't even know where they've gone. So we might go back over and keep an eye on the edge of the water for our next group of penguins. I'm sure they won't be too far away. And you'll see we have some more. The seaweed is still here again tonight, which makes it a little bit tricky for the penguins trying to come out of the water and across the beach, having to scale that seaweed. Is there any penguins? It's kind of created a little pool here that the penguins like to swim around in before they come out. Let's see, is there any in there? No, I think they're just some rocks. So I'll zoom out and we'll have a little bit of a look out into the water for any rafts of penguins. So we're looking for a black line on the surface, which will be one of those groups, those rafts joining together, floating on the surface of the water, going up, 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 up. Thanks, Anna. Joining together, forming those groups, talking to each other and working out whether it's safe to cross the beach or not. Looking up at where our cameras are, up at the horizon, waiting until it gets a little bit darker. Once all their main predators on land, big birds of prey, have gone to bed for the night, and that's when it's safest for these guys to come out of the water in those big groups. Safety in numbers. That first little group certainly were being very, very brave, crossing so early all by themselves, just a little group of penguins. Usually they'll wait for a few friends, especially when it is so bright, but you do get those brave bands of penguins sometimes crossing very early. The other night we even had one penguin brave enough to cross all by himself when it was still quite light out. But or they're either brave or stupid penguins, because it is still quite dangerous when it is a bit light out. Those birds of prey might still be hanging around. So you want to be extra cautious if you're a penguin, because crossing the beach is the most dangerous part of the day. You want to make sure there's no predators around. It's nice and dark, and you're going to be nice and safe making your way home back to your burrows. So it's a bit hard tonight to see any rafts, and we'll keep an eye out. And we are looking out into Summerland Bay over on Summerland Beach, looking out towards Bass Strait. So we're looking out to the south. We're on the south side of Phillip Island, looking out towards Antarctica. So Antarctica's over 3,700 kilometres out to the south there. And you can see the southern coastline of Phillip Island. And this area is also known as Millau. So this is the traditional lands of the Bunurong that we're looking out over tonight and watching these beautiful penguins cross. And the Bunurong have been coming here for thousands of years before European settlement. They would come here in spring and summer and feed on shellfish and short-tailed shearwater birds all around the island, and we see evidence of them. If you come and visit Phillip Island, you might see mounds or piles of shells, and those are traditional Aboriginal midden sites, kind of like a kitchen, a gathering place where they would eat and share stories, and they would leave those piles of shells. So you can keep an eye out for those special significant sites when you're around the island, respecting and remaining and keeping your distance from them. You can see them around, and we're looking out across the southern side of the island, which would have provided plenty of food with the shellfish and short-tailed shearwaters. You can see Cape Woolamai out there in the distance, Pyramid Rock, a very beautiful island that the Bunurong have cared for many, many years, and we're lucky enough to be able to enjoy now here on Phillip Island. So I would like to acknowledge the Bunurong and their elders past, present and emerging as the traditional custodians of the land that we're on tonight, watching these beautiful little penguins, and I can see some that have just snuck up over the seaweed. And these little penguins, we are bringing them to you from Phillip Island Nature Parks as well. So that's who we are. And we're a non-for-profit organisation looking after our wildlife and our wild places here on Phillip Island through education, research and conservation. So that's what we do, and we look after not just our little penguins, but about 20% of Phillip Island. So we look after the entire Summerland Peninsula, where we do have our colony of about 32,000 little penguins. So we are lucky enough to have the largest colony of little penguins in the world. We also have a colony of about 20,000 Australian fur seals. We have our Koala Conservation Reserve, Churchill Island Heritage Farm. Oh, and here's a big group of penguins coming in, and that entire southern coastline. Many beautiful beaches, wetlands and woodlands that we look after here at the nature parks for the wildlife that lives here and for our enjoyment as well. So you can come and visit all of those beautiful sites now. And we are loving having people back. We were talking about last night how one of the best parts of our job here is to get to see people enjoying our natural environments, enjoying our wildlife, seeing the smile on people's faces as they're just in awe of these adorable little penguins that are just arriving, trying to get up over the seaweed. So we do want to see you back here, and anything you buy here at the nature park, souvenirs, tickets, goes back into that conservation work that we do. So you can contribute and help us make a difference protecting our wildlife by coming and visiting us at any of our sites, or if you can't visit us just yet, you can help us out by donating to the Penguin Foundation or adopting a penguin. You can get a little stuffed penguin with a jumper like one of these little guys, and you can name your own symbolically adopted penguin. Of course, you can't get to take one of these little guys home. They are wild animals. So they're just a few ways you can help protect our beautiful wildlife here on Phillip Island. And these penguins are doing a great job scaling the seaweed. Some of them have figured out that they can just swim around, but they're going to have a second hurdle. So this seaweed isn't usually here. We must have had some rough seas out there, and the seaweeds all come loose and washed up on the beach. And the penguins are having to scale over it to get up and across the beach. They don't look like they're having too much trouble. So penguins are surprisingly good little climbers. Even though these guys are little penguins, they are the smallest of all of our 18 species of penguin. They only grow to be about 1 foot tall. They only weigh about 1 kilo, but they can jump about their own body height. They have sharp little claws. Trust me, I've been scratched by a few penguins. And they're great little climbers. Even though they have that funny little waddle, because their knees are fused together, they'll just waddle side to side. They're definitely a lot more adept in the water than they are on land, but they are still incredible little climbers. They get where they need to go. And these guys are making a break for it. This is a good opportunity if you do want to try and count these penguins crossing the beach. Practice your penguin counting skills if you do want to come work for us one day and be a penguin counter. If you are trying to count them, the trick is you just count the legs and divide it by 2. That's what I've heard anyway. And they're up on the rocks, so they don't have too far to go tonight, really. They're over the seaweed. They have a little bit of beach. Oh, some of them are still a little bit scared. They're going to run back in the water. But most of them have made it across. And then let's see if they're going to have a bit of a rest on the rocks or if these guys are in a bit of a hurry. While we see what these guys are doing, might see if Anna has any questions. I'm sure you've all might have some things you're dying to know, maybe something we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah. So Megan, you said that penguins have fused knees.
Mm-hmm.
So Karen and Kevin both asked, how do penguins dig burrows when they've got fused knees?
That's a good question. How do they dig their burrows? So, you know what, you don't really see a penguin dig a burrow because they're inside the burrow. So I'm not 100% sure. You tend to just see a little butt sticking out and then sand starts flying at you. But I imagine they just kind of lie on their bellies and they flick the sand back with their feet. And they can even use their beaks to help excavate as well. Oh, there's Michael. Michael's down on Penguins Plus stand tonight, making sure everybody's behaving down there. Do you have any more thoughts about how they dig their burrows, Anna?
No, I think you're just about right, Megan. I've seen them do the same thing, lying in and using their bodies, even their flippers when they're lying down to get that sand out of the way.
That's true. They have incredibly strong flippers. As you can imagine, having to torpedo through the water at really high speeds, their flippers are really strong. So they do use their flippers, their feet, their beak. They'll use anything that they have to help them dig. Oh, there's a wallaby. Let's see what's going to happen here. The penguins and wallabies usually tend not to bother each other, but occasionally that does happen. A wallaby will hop across the penguin pathway. Gave them a bit of a fright. One night I did see something like that happen down along our penguin highway, and a wallaby did hop on a penguin's head and the penguin was fine. Penguins are very sturdy, hardy little birds. So a knock on the head by a wallaby didn't bother the penguin too much. And I'll go over to the penguin highway. The wallabies do get up to a bit of mischief here. One night we did have a wallaby hopping across the beach and everyone thought it was incredible watching this wallaby hop across the beach until a big wave came up and gave the wallaby a fright, and the wallaby actually hopped into the crowd full of people, jumped on a kid's head, and the kid was fine. He thought it was the best thing ever. Everyone around's like, oh no, what's happened? And the kid's like, oh my God, a wallaby hopped on my head. This is amazing. But I think the funniest interaction I've ever seen between a penguin and a wallaby was one night when I was out the back of our old penguin parade building, and there was 2 little penguin chicks hanging outside their burrow waiting for mum and dad to come home. Oh, what are you running away from? And a wallaby came by for a drink. There was a little bucket of water. The wallaby's having a drink and the penguin chick's like, what's this? Do you think it will give us some food? They ran up to the wallaby. They said, hi, are you my mum and dad? They actually went chirp, 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 chirp. That's what I think they would say. And the wallaby just gave them a swift kind of nip on the head and said, no, I'm not your mum or dad. I certainly do not have any food for you. And the little penguin chicks ran back to their burrow. So it's amazing seeing some of those interactions we get between our penguins and our other wildlife here on Phillip Island, because we do have a range of other wildlife. I know you've all loved watching Goose Gate. I might go back to the highway. There's some more penguins coming past here. with the penguin goose standoff, which we've seen happen many times along our penguin pathways, with the goose blocking the path and the penguins struggling to try and get around. And even the bandicoots. So I know we spotted the bandicoots a few times on our live stream, and I'll try and keep an eye out for them tonight. I always tend to miss them. They're very, very quick. You have to be very lucky to spot one, like Sky did a few nights ago on the stream, and get a clear view of it. But some of our researchers were actually a little bit worried when we did introduce the bandicoots to Phillip Island, because they weren't sure how they would actually interact with the penguins. But something that a few people have seen, and I was actually lucky enough to see one night when I was out running our ultimate tour that goes out to a different beach. And we saw this little bandicoot, and he was quite curious, and he approached this penguin, kind of just wanting to see what it was and what was going on. And the penguin was so grumpy. The penguin was like, "Don't you come near me," gave him a swift peck and a squawk, a bit of a "Arr!" And the bandicoot ran off. So we know that the penguins really are the bosses around here, really, especially when they're at their burrows. They're very territorial, and they will make sure nobody gets too close to their homes or close to their chicks or eggs. And a lot of these guys we see waddling home tonight will be going back to their burrows to maybe feed their chicks. There's quite a few little chicks still running around, and a lot of them have been fledging recently. We had another couple of little chicks who actually fledged on Friday in our study site, which was great to see. And a lot of our penguins are back sitting on eggs, and they're due to hatch probably around Christmas time. We're going to have lots of new little penguin chicks in the colony, which is really exciting. So it's been a really successful breeding season so far for our penguins, and we hope they can continue that. So most of them have already raised 2 chicks, and they're working on their next 2. So hopefully it's looking like a really good breeding season if the conditions stay as they are. Plenty of food out nice and close for these little guys. And I'll zoom back out and I'll see if there's any more penguins coming across the beach. Let's see what's going on over here. And I might grab another question from Anna.
Yeah, of course.
Here's a big group coming across the seaweed.
Yep. So we've got another penguin anatomy question.
Ooh,
so this
okay.
is by Lincoln, and he's only 5 years old. So Lincoln would like to know, how do penguins climb and grip onto things if they don't have any fingers?
Oh, thanks for that one, Lincoln. So penguins, you're right, they don't have fingers. I wonder if my little penguin toy is anatomically correct is the word I'm trying to say. Sorry, guys. So they don't have fingers. They do kind of like this little plushie. Where's the camera? There it is. They do have 3 toes at the front, 1 at the back, and they are fused together with that little webbing, which helps them in the ocean. They use their feet to help them steer, kind of like a little rudder. But you're right, it doesn't help them grip on when they're climbing. So they really are relying on their claws. My little stuffed penguin doesn't have any claws, but penguins have quite long, quite sharp claws. They're kind of like claws your dog might have, or your cat if you've been scratched by a cat. I imagine that's kind of like what the penguin claws are like. They're very sharp and very good at gripping on. So their little feet are quite flexible to gripping onto the rocks and getting them where they need to go. So that's a good question. I've never thought too much about penguin feet and how they grip on. And they definitely sometimes they fail. They can't hold on as tight as we would be able to. So sometimes the penguins will slip. They might fall off a rock. They might trip over a stick in their path. But they are very hardy little birds, like I said. A penguin will just bounce straight back up. They're a little ball of muscle, and they'll just keep going about their business. That's a nice big group, and they're stopping, having a little bit of a rest now. They're feeling maybe a little bit more confident, a little bit more safe. It's nice and dark now. Our cameras don't make it look that dark, but it is quite dark, and they're just helping and having a bit of a preen. So they're realigning their feathers. These little guys have very special feathers. They all need to make sure they're interlocking, so they form that waterproof layer, that blue and white layer, and make sure none of their little fluffy downy feathers underneath are sticking out. Make sure they're looking good before they head home. They might be seeing their partners. Some of them might have just fledged their chicks. They might even be trying to court a partner, maybe even find a new partner, because our little penguins, they do pick one partner for the breeding season, but if something happens and they're not successful or they raise their chicks, they might swap partners. So they are what we call socially monogamous. They will stay together in the same burrow with the same partner for the season usually, but they are a little promiscuous. So they will sneak around, they will cheat on their partners, and if little penguins get a divorce, they don't split everything 50-50. The male penguin actually will usually keep the burrow, and the female penguin will go and find a new partner and a new burrow. Or they might just both move out. They might sell the house and find a new place to breed. Especially if they're not successful, they might find somewhere that they think is a little bit more suitable, a little bit more successful. And speaking of, you might have seen some of our boxes that we put the sand and mulch over to help insulate them, and I was doing some of that work during the week, and I was putting some little pieces of wood in the lids to help create a little bit of airflow, and I peeked inside one while I was doing it, and there was this big male penguin sitting on his eggs, very protective, with this big piece of plastic in his burrow, and it was wrapped all around his nest bowl, in amongst all of his beautiful nesting material. He brought it in there to make his burrow nice and cozy, to keep his eggs nice and warm, but unfortunately he picked up some plastic, not realizing of course what it was. Being a penguin, they don't know what plastic is. There's another group coming in. So he brought it in, and what the plastic could have done is it holds water, and if it gets enough water in that burrow, that's where the eggs might get waterlogged and they might fail. So if that might have happened to him, he might have had to move burrows, he might have had to find somewhere new. But luckily I was out there with one of our other research officers, Paula, and we managed to carefully lift him up, pull the plastic out from the nest bowl, make sure the eggs were nice in the center, and put him back. So it worked out well for him that we got all that plastic out of his nest, and his eggs will be nice and safe and hopefully hatch nice and soon. So a bit of a reminder, along with little Geordie, you might have seen us rescue a couple of weeks ago, that we want to make sure that that plastic and rubbish isn't ending up in our environment. So picking it up, making sure it ends up in the bin where we can, and trying to reduce our use of those single-use plastics, something that won't break down for hundreds or thousands of years, and persist in the environment. Something we use for 5 minutes, if you can avoid it, it makes a huge difference for our wildlife, like our little penguins. And there seems to be lots of penguins coming in tonight. I'll zoom out and we can just see how many are just hanging out here. These guys coming in now might push these guys along a little bit. I find sometimes you get a little bit of a penguin roadblock. It takes a few penguins to come in and kind of want to take up that space for them to move along. And penguins will happily just walk into each other. If you're in my path, get out of the way, or I'm just going to knock right into you. Not much etiquette on the penguin highway. They definitely don't indicate when they're changing lanes. And there's some more coming along the highway, so I might go over to these little guys and we'll watch them come past. While we do that, we might grab another question. I'll try and get through a bunch of questions tonight.
All right.
What have you got for me, Anna?
So Danny, who's 9 years old, would like to know, how old are penguins when they first leave the burrow?
That's a good question. So I was saying we've had a lot that have just recently left the burrow, and they do that when they're about 8 to 10 weeks old. So it might not sound very old to you. It's only a couple months old. These little guys who start out, when they hatch, only weighing about 35 grams. So that's about the size of your palm. Something scared them. They're all running away. And then in 8 to 10 weeks, just over a couple months, they're fully grown. Then the size of these adults, some of them even, usually they're fatter than their parents when they're ready to head out to sea. And they'll start off little brown fluffy chicks, really cute and adorable. They do stay mostly adorable. Here's another big group. There you go. There was one tripping over that little rock there. And yeah, as they get to about 6 weeks, they'll start to lose that fluff, and 8 weeks, they'll pretty much have all their beautiful blue and white adult feathers. And the only way you could tell if any of these penguins were Juveniles is they might just be a brighter blue, they might have a slightly smaller beak, and a squeaky voice. So instead of going, they might go, meow. I do love my penguin calls.
So Megan, how many calls does a penguin make?
Thanks for that one, Anna. So I'm sure you've heard us do a lot of different penguin calls, and the most recent that I heard from a paper was that they estimate there's about 12 different calls that penguins make here. So there might be more, there might be less, and I certainly don't speak fluent penguin, but I like to say that I do know a few phrases. So you've all heard our huck. There's also the trill, or it's a bit of a mating call, so it's a bit like and that's something you kind of hear the males will sing to the females while they're doing a little bit of a dance. They kind of flap their flippers around, run around the females while going trying to impress them. And that's where if the females are impressed, you might see some special penguin cuddles. And you have the one that's not quite a huck but sounds like a huck. It's more of a and that's just a bit of a warning, like, hey, you stay away from me, don't you get too close. And then there's, what else is there? A hiss. I've heard a few penguins hiss at me. There's the not the trill, the and that's another bit of a warning. That's one I sometimes hear when I'm walking around the colony. I don't even know there's a burrow in the vegetation near me, and behind me I'll hear that and it's just someone saying, hey, you look out, I'm here, don't you step on me. Is there any I've missed, Anna?
I think you're hitting all of the ones that I've heard, Megan.
Yeah, look, I'm sure there's more complexities to some of these that might make them different to make them 12 different calls. I'm sure there's some that I may not have, there's definitely some I haven't mastered yet. There's also the chirping, the little chip, 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 which isn't my best penguin call, but I'm sure you've all heard Michael do that one. He does a great little penguin call, and Anna was actually telling me earlier that sometimes Michael will go out and he'll see some little penguin chicks and he'll do his little chip, 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 and they'll come out and they'll look at him and they'll think that he's one of them. So I'm not quite at that level of penguin call expertise just yet. I try my best to talk to little guys, but sometimes I respond, not always. Yeah, I think I said last night, I'm a bit of a crazy penguin lady talking to the penguins, seeing if they'll respond to me. And I'm not ashamed to say that sometimes when I'm in the car on the way here, I'll practice my penguin calls. Certainly before my first ever live stream, I was on the car on the way to work, practicing everything that I was going to say to you guys. And now we only have 10 minutes left, so I definitely don't run out of things to say, which is what I was worried about. But we all love and are very passionate about penguins and could talk about them all night. So we're certainly loving having people back here, seeing the beautiful little penguins and getting the chance to you can hear all those different calls that I said. You can try talking to the penguins, but you can also come and talk to our very passionate rangers. And I know Heather was very excited tonight to meet Charlotte. So Charlotte was down on the stands tonight, who comes and visits the penguins every year for her birthday. And it's Charlotte's birthday tomorrow. So I would like to give a shout out to Charlotte and wish her a happy birthday. She's turning 7 tomorrow. Charlotte from Mornington, thanks for coming and visiting us tonight, and we do hope to see all of you here soon. It's been fantastic to see everyone becoming so passionate about penguins, and you've all kind of become experts, all of our regular viewers here on Live Penguin TV. I reckon you guys probably know almost everything that I know about penguins now, watching us here over and over again. So if there is anyone, especially the young ones out there, who wanted to come and work with penguins, who really loves wildlife, we thought we would tell you a little bit about how we came to work here, and how we kind of developed our love for penguins. So I know I certainly never thought that I'd end up working with penguins. I definitely always loved wildlife and knew that I wanted to work with wildlife. And I loved science as well. So I studied science at uni, and I kind of just fell into doing this project with penguins. I'll go over to the highway and watch these little guys go past. So I listed my preferences of what honours projects I wanted to do. So spending a year studying something, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I saw a project on penguins and I thought that sounds pretty cool. I'll put that down as one of my top preferences, and I ended up getting that as my project. I got to go out and work with the penguins that live near the city in St Kilda. There's a little colony there of about 1,500 penguins. So I spent 9 months going out there 3 times a week, weighing little penguin chicks, monitoring the colony, helping out a beautiful volunteer organisation down there at Earth Care St Kilda, and fell in love with these beautiful little birds. Just their personalities, their incredible flassiness. So even after I finished my honours, I kept volunteering there at St Kilda with the little penguins, with the research, going out and weighing them and monitoring them. Oh my goodness. What is going on here? Wow, I don't even know what just happened. I think was that a chick or was that? I think it was a chick.
Amazing experience.
I don't know.
It's a bit early for that, Megan.
Yeah, well, maybe they've just had their chicks fledge and they was looking for a special penguin cuddles partner. oh, what's going on? What are you guys doing? Yeah, I think it's a male trying to find a mate, or a chick trying to get food. It's a little bit hard to see. Let's see what happens as these little guys go past. What is happening? Oh, you've distracted me from my story. Yeah, so it's a lovely little colony down at St Kilda where I was lucky enough to study and volunteer. And I volunteered there until I actually came to move here to Phillip Island. I got a job here at the Penguin Parade. I don't know what these guys are doing. And I just continue. Every night I'm out here, the penguins are doing something different. They're always keeping it interesting, and I'm always learning something new about these beautiful little birds. So I've continued to work here at the parade, talking to people about penguins. I love educating people about these little guys and what we can do to help protect them. And recently been able to work in our research, going out and actually getting hands-on experience and making sure our colony is doing well, monitoring their health, and also doing other things throughout the organisation, like working with our little eastern barred bandicoots has been incredible. So that's how I kind of ended up here and my experience. But we have people with a range of different experiences. So if you think you want to come work with penguins or any other wildlife, and I might go over to the main camera, just getting out there, getting experience, doing something science or animal related can really help you. So I might let you guys hear from Anna. I want to hear about how Anna kind of ended up here and how she ended up working with these beautiful little penguins. So I'm going to slide over and pass you guys over to Anna.
Hello everyone. So as Megan, lovely Megan introduced me, I'm Anna. I started working here at the nature parks about 2 years ago. I studied environmental science and management at university, but I did start off my nature parks journey as at a wildlife monitoring internship. So during that, I was helping the conservation team monitor feral cats on Phillip Island because, of course, feral cats are a predator of our little penguins. And so I was helping to deploy wildlife cameras for research and also to inform us of the different movements of the feral cats and the different species here. So if you ever saw some nice photos on our Facebook page of different animals coming across wildlife cameras last year, a lot of those are photos that I had to sort through. And there was over 2 million of those that we had to go through. So it was quite a lot of photos. So I'm really lucky to work with the penguins here. I love it. I do tours mostly now. So if you do come to visit us, you might end up with Megan or I or Jordan or Sky, one of us, running a tour for you. And I'm so lucky to work with penguins. My dad actually helped work with penguins at Manly on the fox program. So luckily here on Phillip Island, we've got no more foxes. So thanks to everyone who's come to visit us in the past, because you've contributed to helping us reach that milestone to protect the little penguins. And you can always volunteer with us. I started as a volunteer. We have lots of volunteer programs to jump on board. So if you're interested, have a look at our website, and maybe you might be able to volunteer or work for the nature parks at our penguin parade one day too. So thanks for that, Megan. I'll hand back to you.
Thank you, Anna. And I think that's lovely, because I know even though I work here, I still continue to volunteer, because it's such a good way to gain experience and even socialize, and you can really make a difference. So as well as volunteering with bandicoots, I do monthly beach cleans, which is really fantastic. And we actually take all the rubbish back and sort through it to try and work out where rubbish is coming from, what's ending up on our beaches. And it really feels like just by picking up that rubbish, you're taking it from the environment and taking it potentially from around a penguin's neck, from a penguin burrow, from a seal, from ending up in a shearwater's stomach. And if you do want to work with wildlife, volunteering is a great way to get any experience to get you in to a potential job, or even just to get out and do what you're passionate about. Even just to get out and meet like-minded people. Something scared our penguins. So I definitely recommend it. And even just coming to any of these sites, getting out in nature. Now that we're able to travel, we're able to go out and enjoy these wild places. Just getting out in nature is something really special that hopefully we'll all be able to do. I know we're going to miss seeing our beautiful penguins and our wildlife here from Phillip Island on our nightly live stream. So hopefully we can make up for it by getting out and even just going for a walk around our local parks or local environment, seeing what wildlife is around us, and then doing something we can do to make a difference, whether it be picking up some rubbish, putting up a nesting box in a tree in your backyard, putting out a little tray of water when it's a hot day. There's lots of little things that you can do, whether it be coming to visit a nature park and contributing directly to conservation, or just doing small little things to help protect our wildlife. So I know you guys are going to miss our live streams. We're certainly going to miss you guys. And I really hope that I'll be able to see you back here soon on some of our live stream specials. We want to get some special guests. If you have any suggestions for special guests, let us know. I know we like to aim high, but we're excited to see who and what the future holds. And as Anna said, we're going to be going back more to our usual roles. We're going to be running tours. We're going to be out on the boardwalks and the stands down here at the Penguin Parade, and at some of our other sites as well. So if you do come out and you see us, say hi, give us a hug. We're loving seeing everyone's smiling faces and hearing how much live Penguin TV has meant to everybody. And penguins certainly are a very special bird that we're very lucky to see and work with, and even just to have here on Phillip Island, to have such a beautiful, thriving population of little penguins. So I think we might be almost out of time.
I think so, Megan. So I just want to ask you one more question.
Okay,
this
one more
got
question.
Asked, earlier. So Debbie wants to know what your favourite live stream episode was that you hosted. Do you have a favourite, or are you a Waddle watcher as well?
I've definitely watched a lot. I can't say I've watched every single night like a lot of you have. Sometimes I've needed a break. But my favourite one that I've hosted, there was a couple. I know the one where we rescued little Geordie with the plastic around, or the unidentified entanglement around his neck. That one was really special. I think it sent a really incredible message and a reminder to us about what we're doing and how what we do impacts our wildlife. But one that I really love looking back on is the night where we just had a ricali just hanging out down here on the rocks, and the ricali was running around, and everyone was really concerned about the penguins, that this ricali was going to hurt the penguins or steal their eggs or hurt their chicks. But really, the penguins were harassing this ricali. The ricali was stuck in a ring of penguins here on the rocks, trying to just get down to the beach to go find a snack, go find some little crabs or shellfish or something. And the ricali was surrounded by the penguins. I just love seeing the attitude that penguins show to our other wildlife, and those interactions that we see sometimes, but we don't get to see it very often. So things like Goose Gate, the other night when the penguin stood on the wallaby's tail when Jordan was hosting. I think some of those little wildlife interactions are some of my favourite moments, and getting to see a penguin rescue live on TV was really special. Do you have any favourite moments or sessions from live penguin TV, Anna?
I think I'm with everyone with the Goose Gate. I think that was really entertaining, and it really
Definitely
shows that attitude that you just talked about, Megan, with the penguins, because they definitely do have attitude.
100%. They will fight you. They will fight a goose. They will fight a wallaby. They don't care if you are 6 times their height. They will pick a fight with you, and I think that's why we all love these little birds so much. And I think it's time to say goodbye to the little penguins for tonight. You guys will be joined by Anna and Jordan again tomorrow night, and then you'll have Stephen for the last couple of live penguin TVs. So hopefully I'll get to see you guys and talk to you again on live penguin TV. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you around Phillip Island. So thank you so much, guys. Do you want to say goodbye, Anna?
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
And leave you with a hug.